the end of supermarkets. How are you going to make money from this? That's precisely what I truly want to talk to you about, my dear entrepreneur friend, my valued investor friend, my esteemed business owner friend. It's with you that I want to discuss this topic, which is a tremendous opportunity. Very, very few people have actually managed to see this. Extremely few astute investors have truly noticed this significant trend that is steadily spreading all over the entire world. I've already gotten ahead of the curve as well. I already actively do this in my daily practice, and I'm here to share a little bit of my valuable experience with you all. For those watching for the first time, I'm Leandro Montero, President of the Leandro Montero Investments Group, a private investment fund where I invest in a variety of sectors. I actively invest in the construction sector. I strategically invest in the energy sector. We meticulously build large-scale solar power plants in several diverse countries around the world, contributing to sustainable development. I thoughtfully invest in the robust food and beverage industry, ensuring a diversified portfolio. I am deeply involved in the intricate import and export business, facilitating global trade. And importantly, I diligently manage all our extensive activities from right here, from our central and well-equipped office, overseeing every detail with precision. In Dubai, because I am a resident of Dubai, I live in Dubai, and although we also have an office in New York, we have an office in Sao Paulo, Brazil, we also have an office in Shenzhen in southern China, and we are now entering Europe as well. So welcome to our truly informative and insightful channel. Here on our dedicated channel, we exclusively talk about valuable business opportunities. The primary and essential focus of this particular channel is to consistently provide genuinely useful and exceptionally high quality information to those individuals who are utterly tired of the constant bad news on television, the pervasive bad news on the internet, and the absolutely useless news that simply won't get you anywhere productive. Here, we only want to talk about a topic that nobody likes: money. Welcome. So, the end of supermarkets. It's strange to think that there won't be supermarkets anymore because we're confronted with the idea that we won't be able to buy food anymore. But we will be able to buy food. It will just become more efficient and cheaper. For example, in China, for those who know China, for those who travel around China, like me, I have residency and a factory in China. You don't find supermarkets anywhere. I saw the last Carrefour close 3 years ago over there in China. You don't find supermarkets in China anymore. You might find mini markets, but very rarely, because the Chinese have learned to buy food online, and they did this in a very smart way. We just have to look at the math. Notice you have a supermarket. It takes up a large area, which means the rent for that property is very expensive. The expenses for electricity, utility bills, employee salaries, and maintenance of the place, all these costs have to be covered by the price of the product. So the price of the product keeps getting higher as this structure becomes more expensive. If we remove all these costs of maintaining the market from the price of the product, you can have much cheaper food. This helped the Chinese control inflation in the country. Notice this is something that directly impacts the economy. Any leader in the world, no matter how popular they are, they can be the most beloved person by the people. But if people don't have food on their plates, their popularity drops and their government can end overnight. Isn't that true? So what did the Chinese government do to control inflation and make food more affordable for people? They invested in technology so that people could buy food through apps, and a small network of mini markets could handle the deliveries. In this way, they managed to take price control out of the hands of the big players. Today, for example, in the United States, beef is controlled by 3 families. If these 3 families get together for a barbecue on the weekend and decide, let's raise our prices by 3%, the prices go up, and that's the end of it. In the United States, sugar is controlled by 3 large corporations. If the three CEOs of these three corporations get together on Fifth Avenue for a coffee and agree, starting tomorrow, we're going to raise our prices by 0.5%, the prices go up, and that's the end of the story. It becomes much more complex to create this kind of monopoly, much more complex to create this kind of oligopoly when you spread out, when you divide this market among the small players. In other words, it's a protection for the consumer. The more companies are competing, the better it is for the end consumer. For example, do you want to see an example of this? In Brazil, I'm here with my little Brazilian flag. In Brazil, there's only one company operating in the oil market, which is Petrobras. So if Petrobras decides to raise prices, the whole country suffers. In the United States, there are several companies competing with each other. So there's a price war, and in that, the one who benefits is the end consumer, right when they're filling up their car. In Brazil, there are only 5 banks, of which 2 are government-owned and 3 are private. In the United States, there are 5,000 banks competing for customers inch by inch. So in this competition among many, the biggest beneficiary is the end customer. And it's no different when it comes to food. In the food sector, there is a global movement toward the end of large supermarket chains. In China, they're already gone, all of them. In the United States, you are witnessing this phenomenon. You are seeing this happen. And let me tell you what's going to happen in the coming months so you can prepare and make money from it. Pay attention to what I'm about to say here, because this is going to change a lot for you, especially if you invest in the stock market. You need to prepare yourself because some companies are going to go bankrupt while others will see their stock prices rise. Pay close attention to what I'm telling you here. When you're in New York and want to buy food or go to a supermarket, you have to get in a car, go through the Abraham Lincoln Tunnel, and head to New Jersey to go to Walmart. You can't easily find a supermarket within New York. On Manhattan Island, you just can't find one. So you see, within Manhattan Island, we're talking about a place with 10 million inhabitants. There are apartments there where 20 Indians live together in a single apartment. I know people in New York who live in an apartment with 20 others, and every day they have a lottery to see who will have to sleep sitting in a chair because there isn't enough space. There's not enough floor space for everyone to lie down. This is a reality. What I'm telling you here is the absolute truth. I'm not talking here about what I learned at Harvard. I'm not talking about what I learned at the Sorbonne or anything I read in any book. I'm talking about real life here. Real life. And you know I'm telling the truth. And those who tell the truth don't deserve punishment. So what's happening? You see, in the past, when I say in the past, I mean 20 or 30 years ago, families were larger. 20 or 30 years ago, only the man worked and the woman stayed at home taking care of the children. Families were larger. So back then, people needed to go to the supermarket to do a big monthly shopping trip. A shopping trip that would last a whole month. Today, that's not the case. Today, families have 1 or 2 children at most. Many people don't even want to have children anymore. They prefer to raise a cat or a dog, a pet. There's no need to do a big monthly shopping trip at the supermarket anymore. A shopping trip that lasts for a month. Nowadays, people do their shopping for the week. Just enough to last for a week. A lot of people buy just what they need for the day. What they're going to eat that day. Here's an image I want to show you. This image I'm putting up is from the Carrefour in Dubai. Take a look. These images are for you to see a phenomenon that's already happening here in Dubai. Carrefour realized that people didn't have time to buy food and cook at home, so they decided to set up a kitchen so people could buy ready-made meals. Notice this market trend. This is becoming prevalent. This is a measure Carrefour took before shutting down its operations, because people prefer to go there, as I'm showing in these images, and buy ready-made food to take home rather than putting groceries in a cart to cook at home. People just don't have that time anymore. There's an American saying that I really like, which is time is money. I love this American way of thinking, and it's absolutely true. Time is money. If it takes you an hour to get to the supermarket, another hour to get back home, and then another hour inside the supermarket shopping, in other words, you spend 3 hours of your day shopping at the market, a lot of Americans just don't have time for that. Many Americans prefer to order through an app, and those 3 hours they could have spent doing all that, they're actually working to earn money. They're working to make money. They're not wasting their time. And this phenomenon that's happening with Americans is also happening in Europe, in Brazil, in China, and here in the Arab world. It's creating opportunities for new entrepreneurs who are building their small networks of mini markets focused on delivery. In other words, a mini market will serve deliveries within up to 45 minutes in a 25-kilometer radius. So every 50 kilometers, you can open a store from your network. And here's the thing, this store won't sell food. Now you might say, that's it, Leandro has lost his mind. Because if we're talking about a market, about buying food, now he's saying these markets won't sell food. No, let me explain why. I like talking to you because you're very smart. It took me 40 years of my life to realize that supermarkets don't actually sell food. Can you believe that? For 40 years, I believed that supermarkets sold food because I would go to the supermarket, take food off the shelf, put it in my cart, pay for it, and leave. So I believed that supermarkets sold food, but that's not true. I found out that wasn't true when I started importing food products from Brazil to here, to Dubai. When I went to make my first visit to a market here in Dubai, I went with a price list, product catalog, sword in one hand, shield in the other. I didn't go as a salesman, I went as a gladiator going into battle, a commercial battle. I imagined there would be a tug of war, a price battle, but it was nothing like that. When I arrived at this big supermarket chain here in Dubai, they welcomed me with a red carpet and asked me how many shelves I wanted to display my products in the store. The reception was extraordinary. Coffee, cold water, it was wonderful. And that's when they asked me, how many shelves would you like to rent? Let me repeat the question. How many shelves would you like to rent? A supermarket doesn't sell food. A supermarket is a real estate business, period. So now you get it. When you take $100,000, $200,000 today and buy a house, buy an apartment and put it up for rent, you'll be able to get a rent of $2,000 or $3,000 a month. There's a percentage you can charge as rent for that property you bought to rent out. So notice, at the very most, if you have God on your side, you'll make 5% of the property's value in rent. Now, if you take that same amount and open your own mini market, you can earn every month between 60 and 70% of the amount you invested. That's exactly what you heard. And what I'm telling you is something I already do in practice today. I started here in Dubai. I'm talking to you right now in front of the Burj Khalifa from our office where I manage our entire network. When I started here in Dubai, I began by selling coffee with my own brand, Café Zeus. Everybody knows that. I produce Café Zeus in Brazil and export Café Zeus all over the world. Now I'm looking to open our Café Zeus coffee shop in New York, right there in Times Square. So I'm looking to open our coffee shop there, and it would be a great pleasure to meet you and have a Café Zeus together right there in Times Square. It will be our first store in the United States, and I would like it to be there, and we're going to open many more in the United States, just like we're doing around the world. But my first store in the United States, I would like it to be right there in Times Square. So folks, when I started this business of ours, I really used to sell coffee, and then other products joined the Deus line. We started selling sugar, flour, beans, rice, oil, and other types of products like olive oil. Other products came in, but nothing was as profitable as renting out the shelf space. That's the real estate market. In other words, the owner of the market never loses. If the product sells, he gets a cut. If it doesn't sell, he's already received the shelf rental. In other words, if you invest in a property to rent out, you make 5%. If you invest in a chain of mini markets, To rent out the shelves, you make 60%, 70%. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. So we're doing this all over the world with a focus on deliveries. Of course, a mini market has very low costs for you to keep it running. It's different from a supermarket. A mini market, you can still have customers who go there to buy a little something, and those sales are enough to keep the business going. A supermarket, on the other hand, can't. The sales that a supermarket makes today, I can prove to anyone that those sales aren't enough to keep the business open. Pay attention to the information I'm about to give you for free. Today, the big supermarket chains survive on credit. They live off the banks. They're breathing through a little tap, through a little hose. If the banks close that tap, they suffocate. They have to shut down their businesses. And I believe, and I always will believe, that a business needs to survive on the customer's money. A business can't survive on the bank's money. The bank's money helps to lever. Bank financing helps our company grow. But the company has to live off the customer's money. It can't survive by relying on taking out one loan to pay off another. That's a disaster. So for you who are clear-headed, intelligent, and have already understood all this, I invite you to join the Leandro Montero Group so that together we can establish our network of mini markets and distribution, a real estate business all over the world. Welcome to our work. I will certainly put the direct link to our official website and our WhatsApp contact information in the video description below so that I can fully understand what specific activities you are currently undertaking, precisely how much capital you would ideally like to invest, and exactly how much profitability you would genuinely like to achieve. This way, we can then sit down together and thoroughly discuss this important matter in detail. Leandro, how secure do I have in investing my money and knowing that I won't lose it? It's so simple. The answer is just that simple. You make an investment, we buy a property, and in that property, we'll set up a mini market to rent out the shelves. The property is yours. The property will be registered in your name. If everything goes wrong, in the worst case scenario, the property is sold and your money is returned. It's that simple. The property is the guarantee that you will have your investment. Remember, even though the sign on the building says it's a mini market, what we're actually selling is shelf space. It's a real estate venture, and the property is yours. So, this way, together we'll build a large global network to meet a human need for food and also meet the financial and economic needs of those who want to invest but don't want to work. So the investor doesn't work directly operating the markets. He is simply an investor, and the Leandro Montero Group takes care of the entire operation of the markets, sales, hiring staff, and renting out the shelves. And at the end of the month, we provide the financial statements so you can receive your money without any headaches or hassle, all right? Thank you very much for your attention, and see you at our next meeting. See you then.